There's a really good video that was sent to me. So bad, dastardly, I think is the subscriber that sent it to me. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I gotta share that completely closed minded to even watching it. Mostly because it started off, the first part of it was all about Ran, and it looked like this was going to be something that's going to say something good about this Ran theory, which is like, okay, the way this one's going is like, okay, they're trying to say that this person was some kind of hero, and it's like, I can't stomach listening to, oh, that was a good idea, when clearly it's not a good idea. Um, so I can see within myself that I am totally closed minded. Um, and it took I asked the question, at least I asked the question, because I could be, closed minded, don't want to hear it, can't read it, don't even want to go down that path because it will be extremely upsetting to me. But I always could be wrong, so I asked another question of, okay, is this going to be a video of like this was a good thing? And then it took some time, but this person responded and said, gave me a little bit more explanation, and a good enough explanation that motivated me to watch the whole series, which I'm really glad that I did. At the same time, she was telling me that Nash, of Nash Equilibrium, which is, I'm kind of a fan of that, um, she was saying that that guy was crazy. And it's like, kind of love the guy. And you're saying that he's crazy? So it was like, okay, this person, at least brought me down to, okay, no, we're kind of in agreement, and even though I'm disagreeing with the opinion about this Nash, I'm going to see what she's got to say, or he has to say. So it's like, thank you so much for giving me more information so that I could go down a path I would have never taken. And I think that that's common with just about all of us, is that we can't open our minds to something new. We are so made up in our minds, and we don't want to be frustrated that, oh, what you're saying is like totally wrong. I'm not even going to listen to what you got to say. And we close our minds off. We may listen to a video, but if your mind is closed off, you're not actually receiving it. I've seen that within myself a lot. I'm really like, don't need to hear any more shit. I already know what's going on. Not really doing any more research. Been there, done that, seen what kind of bullshit is out there. Um, but I needed more information. If something was good, then you should be able to easily convince me to move forward in it, which this person did. And it's like, you're an excellent communicator, because you made me go down that path. And because it did sort of criticize the Rand concept. I'm going to put a video on the guy that, everything was willed from Rand Corporation to this Leonard guy, and I think he's totally insane, totally about war, totally about killing people. And it's like, I'm really questioning anybody that would even be in support of that Rand theory, because it's like, do you know that you're going to be insane if you believe in that theory? And it's like, when you want to look at mental illness and why everybody is like psychopaths, it's like I'm getting links from scientists and psychologists and different concepts, and it's like, man, if you want to learn how to get insane, go to school. They'll make you into a psychopath. And that is the creation of, why do people have mental illness? It's because of the information you'll get from your society, your family. They will influence you. They will manifest in you your own mental illness. Meanwhile, I've been diagnosed with some kind of mental illness, and it's like, I don't even go and see these doctors, because it's like, I ain't playing your game. I know I'm saying, I think it's you. Which everybody that has a mental illness, I mean, these psychopath CEOs, they're exactly the same way. They think they're normal and everybody else is crazy. So it's like, okay, one of us is crazy and one of us isn't. Which one is it? I personally believe that the guy that's sane is the guy that says could be wrong, and is able to receive information that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily receive. Um, So I try to keep myself in check as much as possible. It's really, really hard for people to communicate with me because you can't just have an opinion without backing it up. You can't say I'm crazy without saying, where am I crazy? You can't say I don't know what I'm talking about and not tell me where I don't know what I'm talking about. You actually have to give me something to go on. Otherwise, I'll think you're just insane. And I realize the videos I make, it's really, really hard to back up my shit in a 15-minute video, which is why there's a whole channel there and a lot of information that I cite. So what I ended up seeing, what was crazy about this Nash is, first of all, I think they're all crazy. I'm a big, 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 big fan of this holodynamics. I think it's the best shit on the planet, but the doctor is really crazy. I'm not his fan. I think what this man is up to, where he thinks he can clean up the planet, which I think he has the technology, I think he can, do everything, but he's got an insane mind. Do I trust him with the technology that he's got? No, because I think he's totally insane. But I love his work. It's flawed. It's like 90% truth, 10% lie. It claims to be a tool that can solve every problem known to the human experience. I think it's brilliant. Can't find a flaw within it other than it can identify the unknown problem. What good is a tool if you can't recognize you have a problem? So that's kind of crazy right there. But that's an easy fix. But this Nash, and I'm seeing that, okay, he had a lot of good things, and maybe even this Rand had, a lot of good things, but there's a lot of bullshit with it too. So I think that that's probably where I'm kind of concluding, is that a lot of these insane people have like 90% truth going on, 10% lie, and that's 10% lie will get you every time. Seems to be in Bibles too. They were really smart to write that Bible. I think they were inspired by something, but it's like, always look for that, 90% truth, 10% lie, and you could probably figure out the puzzle that's going on. But with this Nash, the one thing that I like about it is when game theory, where both parties win. It's the perfect game where two come out the winner, which is what peace would be like. Is when you sit down at a peace table, both parties end up winning. But I just learned from this video that his concept of both parties winning is actually based on being paranoid about the other guy, never ever trusting the other guy. So there has to be this level of trust in order for his game theory to work. But it is more like this holodynamics works kind of the same way, that it is a matter of making everybody happy. And how do you make everybody happy? And I think that this holodynamics explains the process a lot better, because it's not based on paranoia. It's not based on fear. It's hey, be free not to trust the other guy, but work through the process. You ain't healed. There's something wrong with you if you think the other guy, if you don't trust the other guy, then basically it's you that you don't trust yourself. That's sort of like if you have trust issues. As soon as you learn how to trust yourself, you don't have to worry about trusting other people. I know who other people are. They tell me who they are all the time, and I trust myself to never walk down that path. Personally, people that got a lot of vengeance going on and they carry a gun and I get under their skin, wouldn't be a person I'd hang around with. I can tell right away that wouldn't be, a good friendship. But I know what pleases me and where I'm comfortable with. Some people of like-minded, they'll probably never have a problem, but they would probably be taking their vengeance out on other people, and it's like, how happy would your world be if you're living in vengeance at all times? It sort of sounds like the war is continuing while you're claiming to want peace, which is kind of where I think insanity is if you want peace and you think the only way you're going to get peace is through war, it's kind of insane. I'm just saying. Could be wrong. But that's where this holodynamics really comes into play, is looking for that win-win. And I don't necessarily think we know how to do that, and that is where I think this big massive shift is going to come up, is us learning how that happens, and you gotta have a baseline. How do you know what is the right thing? And it turns out, in my opinion, and I don't think it's even in this hollow dynamics, but it is going to be in good health. Your community is healthy. It's emotionally healthy, it's economically healthy, physically healthy, in all forms of health. That is sort of like the new healthcare system is you don't really need pills, you don't really need to see doctors, you don't need to have so much of a burden on a system to make you well that you can't afford the system. There is a way of doing it where you never need it. You don't need to take a pill to get perfect health. It means you behave properly within society. And it's like, okay, what does that really mean? Do you have to really sacrifice to make everybody happy? And it's like, no. In order to have really good health and long life, you have to love it. So the deal is you gotta love your life, but everybody else around you also has to love their life. And it's, like, why would you be paranoid about somebody else? What would be the driving forces that make you paranoid? And it's like you've got some psychological issues going on when you can't trust the other guy, and you do need to have that conversation with opposing parties until you figure out what each other wants, because at the end you both want the same thing. You just have never sat down at a peace table to figure that one out. But basically we're all loving beings, we all want to experience love. What and how we perceive love is going to be different. My way of explaining that is I love oranges, another person loves apples. If I'm with a partner, they love apples, I love oranges. So if I want to show love to my partner, this is where the damage of intention is. If I intend to show my partner love, I give them what I think love is, and I pile them up with oranges. Meanwhile, because they love apples and can't stand oranges, they're like, why does that person never love me? And it's because the other person didn't hear what love is to them. And I would trust everybody in the world, if you took the time to understand how I perceive love and you give me what it is I love. And that's where I find that I'm kind of really successful in sending my love out, because I listen to them. It's like, oh, they love apples, I'm going to go and buy them, give them apples. Not the oranges I love, but I'll give them what they love. And I think that came from being a parent to 4 kids, because each child experienced love differently, so each child needed a different kind of mother, a different form of love. So I knew I was different to different people, but to me, I think it went really, really well when it was going well. When I was able to listen to them and to hear what it is that they needed, and I was able to give it to them. Where I can see these patterns of abuse are taking place is that's not being returned. You're having a losing game when others want to suck. Like if all the apples I got, all the pears I got, it's when they are lacking love because of economic, because of, had an ex-husband that did not, there was, I couldn't figure out what the hell this guy felt love with. Mind you, yeah, I did. It's pornography, but still, there had to have been some way of that's where I'm saying is that women ask for their own abuse, and it is because I couldn't understand how he receives love. For the life of me, for 20 years, could not figure out what would it take for you to actually feel love. I'm a people believer. I would have done anything. But the guy just was never about to feel love. And I think that's where, you got to figure out what it is you love and let other people know what you love, and surround yourself with people that are willing to give that to you. So that's where I found most of the problem was, is that when the other side doesn't want to give back love, that's where the conflict comes, because that's where like that people pleaser is. I'm willing to play that game, but is that game willing to play back? And that's where I find we're going to make a really perfect society, is when we can really understand what is it you love